All right, we've got CBS News security analyst Fran Tonsend. She's joining us on the phone. Fran, I want to share a bit of information with you and with our viewers. Just hours before this attack, the French President François Hollande said that he would not be extending the state of emergency that had been in place in France beyond July 26. He said that the state of emergency that went into place just in the hours after that attack back in November of last year was not having any real or was having only limited impact on improving security. And so the question in hindsight is always 2020. Obviously, nobody could predict this. But because France was in a state of emergency, there were a lot of people that said that there were many instances where something like this could happen. Was that perhaps the right thing to do?
Look, generally, I know, and let me speak to the United States, when we raise our terror alert or we issue a warning, the reason for that is there is some intelligence driving it. And so when the intelligence related to that threat subsides, whether that's an event has passed that we believe is threatened, like Euro 2016 in this case, you don't stay at that heightened alert, that level. And part of that is because what you want to do is you want to change your posture, your security posture. You want the bad guys, you want your enemies not to be able to predict what you're going to do. And so, frankly, presumably, President Hollande is making that decision based on advice from security officials. Now, I'm sure that they're revisiting that now in light of what's happened in Nice.
Can you tell us what has to take place now when it comes to the investigation? Are we trying to find out if he was acting alone or part of a terrorist organization? What takes place now that this has happened?
So the first thing, they'll identify the shooter. Second, they're looking to see what they can identify in terms of any accomplices. Where did he live? We mentioned that there were guns and grenades. They'll look for fingerprints. They'll look for identifying marks on any of the weapons that would give them more information related to whether or not there was a support network in France.
And Fran, so ISIS has been using this propaganda and again cautioning our viewers that nobody has, at least on the official side in France, has called this a terrorist attack. But you pointed out earlier that they are probably not sharing as much information. In fact, they've been asking people on various social media feeds to not share images or video that might be disturbing. But given that ISIS has had this call to action for people, this has happened in several instances around the world, I guess a lot of people are going to be wondering when we figure out who this person was that carried out this attack, if it turns out, once again, as we saw back in November of last year, that this perpetrator, just like some of the perpetrators in the November 13th attack, were well known to French terrorist officials, people following the intelligence on people who would seek to harm people in the French Republic. What happens next?
Well, hard to really guess right now. I mean, certainly that's one of the things that French authorities are looking at. Was he known to them, and what do they know about him? Is this a French citizen? Is it not a French citizen? Is it one of the individuals who came out of the Bataclan and earlier Paris attacks? Was this an individual who's related to the cell up in Brussels? And there's lots of questions in terms of what does the network look like, and what was known either to security officials in France or in larger Western Europe or even in the United States. Those are all the kinds of pieces of information that they're working very hard to develop and stitch together tonight, because more importantly at the moment than what it means for the attack in Nice is there an ongoing threat? And that's what French officials need to know more than anything else, is there an ongoing threat in France, in Nice, and what can they do to disrupt that?